I thought it was important that after silence for about a year since my brother's death, it's been a little over a year, I felt the need of speaking out and telling people about the last 2 months I spent with my brother, about the various things we discussed at that late date in his life when he knew that Calvary needed someone who could teach the Word, the inerrant Word of God, verse by verse, as he had done through the years. He realized his health issue was leaving fast. He was hopeful, and I told him, Chuck, it's time for you to do something. And so now, here we are, and our need is to have control of my brother Chuck's intellectual property because of the way they're attempting to change that. And those are the discussions that my brother and I had for 2 months before he passed. He had fixed me an office. He provided a bedroom for me in his home. And Chuck would usually get up about 4 o'clock in the morning. And we would go into his office, and that was my signal. I would be awakened at the same time, and we would go in, kick back in lazy chairs, and just discuss the future of Calvary and the problem of just anybody trying to take over Calvary Chapel of Costa Mesa. And that was my brother's big concern for bringing me down to Costa Mesa. He suggested that the reason I was there, and he told this to my wife when Ruth and Chuck and myself were alone in his office, although we knew we were being recorded. And yet Chuck said, Ruth had asked Chuck, why did you ask Paul to come down? I told my wife I would not say a word, and so I kept silent and let him answer. He said, I want Paul to create an explosion. And Ruth said she just waited, and then he explained, I'm ready for an explosion. And I feel like Paul being present here will create the explosion where it needs to happen. And then he went on to say, and he affirmed that by just hitting his fist on the desk and saying, I wish that Brian and all of those changes that he's made in the staff at Calvary Costa Mesa, I wish they would just leave and go do their thing elsewhere, not here at Calvary Chapel Costa Mesa. Now, we had many discussions, and I finally told my brother Chuck, well, we had some meetings with individuals. We had first a meeting with 3 of us. I don't know that I'll give the names at this point, but there were 3 of us that gathered to discuss a contingency plan where the next pastor at Costa Mesa would be a man of the Word that knew how to go through the Bible verse by verse and teach the people and instruct them in the Word of God. And in that pursuit of someone, we thought of it would be nice to have a group of pastors that would come, and different ones that Chuck felt comfortable with, that knew the Word and knew how to teach inductively the clear teaching of the Word. So in that regard, we continued to pursue that line of thought. We had another meeting in my office. My computer had been hacked, and that they were getting the conversations, and they hacked into my own computer that affected my computer here at home, and I had to pay, I forget how much money, to have somebody take care of a hacked computer that was not working for me. And I found out who it was. We had others that came on board to help us to figure a contingency plan that would replace Brian Broderson his position at Calvary. We had this contingency plan, and we had it drafted on legal paper, and Chuck was at all of these meetings. We then met with 2 board members. In the documents that Chuck had in order to present his position concerning Brian and Cheryl, that they were not the persons to take the place of Calvary. For Brian and Cheryl just to leave and go do what they had to do somewhere else. Kay was the one who was most adamant about Brian and Cheryl. They hate too many people to continue pastoring Calvary Chapel. Ina and I got along until the time when I found her eavesdropping on a conversation between 2 board members, Chuck and myself. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't know just why. I still had my socks on and just a robe, and I went in, and that's the way I dressed when Chuck and I would get together. And here I felt uncomfortable. I went down the hall, and here with an open door at the bedroom, Ina was there with the secretary's book and a pencil, taking notes of our conversation with 2 of the board members. And we were talking about the contingency plan with my brother. One of these board members had prepared the paper that we used and gave to Chuck that he kept in his desk, and then the resignation paper for Brian, and Chuck was dismissing him. There was nothing for Brian to sign. It was something that was just there that Chuck would give him, just 2 sentences. Thank you for your help, and I pray that the Lord will bless your future ministry. I don't know who actually took the papers. I know the people that were around there that were wanting to get them, that were eavesdropping on Chuck. I told Ina, please, this is a very important meeting, and it's not for all ears. And would you mind going downstairs? And that's probably the angriest words I said to Ina at any time. But it did disturb me greatly that she was taking notes of what was being said. Now, that could have been the cue that drew the others to Chuck's office to pick up the papers that were in his desk. And it's probably what had occurred. I can't figure any other way. One of the board members that were with us in Chuck's office, when he went to church the next day, Cheryl came out and confronted him, is what he told me, and she hit him in the chest. Well, he's played basketball, and he says it was as hard a hit as he's gotten even from large basketball players. Why did she hit him? Because of his meeting privately with Chuck and the papers that no doubt were picked up that were asking that the contingency plan be put into effect. When I was spending this time with my brother, it's hard for me to deal with these very personal matters. And I will be starting a blog. I will give the information from other people plus myself, just verifying others that will verify what I'm saying. But Chuck had told me, and Brian and Cheryl were coming over, and he told me the morning we woke up Brian and Cheryl are coming. He said, and I can handle it, meaning I'm going to talk to them directly. I said, okay. And so I went into the bedroom upstairs where Chuck had a bedroom for me. And it wasn't long, and I shut the door. I didn't want to eavesdrop, as happened all the time in his home or in his office. And so I wanted them to have the freedom to be able to discuss what they want. When I heard screaming and yelling from Brian, I decided I'm going to find out what's going on. And apparently Chuck told them about the contingency plan. They had found out before then. I do not believe that Brian and Cheryl knew that I was there in a bedroom upstairs. Brian very seldom would go upstairs because he did not like my brother Chuck, and that's on record very clear. I just heard the yelling. I came out because I did not want anybody yelling at my brother in the state he was in, and I was going to protect him from whatever the problem was. And then I saw Brian and Cheryl leave going down the stairs. The fight I heard, or the yelling I heard, happened after Chuck had left Hoag Hospital for the last time, and before he passed. That upset me. A lot of things upset me, especially happening to my brother, whom I love very, very much. And I want to see his ministry continue as God had given it to him when God blessed Calvary Chapel the way he did. I pray that I'll have the opportunity to speak to you personally and let you know my heart, and that I'm at 85 years of age now, and I'm not expecting to, I expect to go up in the rapture, and that's going to be pretty quick. And you better be ready and listen to what Chuck has to say on his tapes.